All right, everybody, here's a quick take. This is not one of the regular podcasts. This is one of the really quick things that I can go ahead and just get out of the way of stuff that I think is really important for me and myself this year and what I'm going to be training for. So, for those who don't know me, my name is Charlie. I'm the owner of We the Collective Fitness and Grundis Yoga Lift. And I try to set up something every year that I can go ahead and work on. In some years, it's like, hey, I want to be able to run more, or hey, I want to be able to lift heavier. So here's the things that I want to go ahead and work on, and then why. So one of the very first things that I want to accomplish in the year 2025 is I would like to be able to dunk a basketball. I've loved basketball since I was in my teen years. Again, growing up in Chicago, like Jordan is God. Like I don't really have to say much more than that. Idolized him when I was in my young and formative years for basically his overly aggressive style of play and just his ability to make these things happen. So it was a wonderful role model. But then looking back and watching things like The Last Dance and realizing how he kind of treated some other people, you call into question. It's like, was that really the best way to go about it? But it really can't be questioned. It's like, is he one of the greatest players to ever go do it? That's never going to be an argument. He might not stay the greatest player ever. In my opinion, I still think he is the greatest shooting guard to ever do it. Potentially the best player to ever do it. But again, you can't always compare apples to apples when it comes to sports performance like that. He arguably is probably one of the most recognized and well-respected athletes of my generation, of anything that I've ever seen. So love basketball and played basketball when I was younger. Was not very good. I wish I was better. Apparently, I didn't respond well to getting good at basketball. Bit of a jump shooter, could slightly drive, can kind of do stuff, but I've always been a little bit slow. Always been a little bit overweight, so I was never able to like play up to like my ability, right? So now that I'm 40 and I turn 41 in June, what I would like to be able to do is start to do things like jump training. And for right now, essentially on a 10-foot rim, I can touch it. Right? So I can get to like here, I can get my fingers on it, but I do need to be able to get like my wrist to it so I can actually slam the ball in. So it's about 3 to 5 inches or so. Ladies, you can go ahead and decide the difference. But it's something that I do really want to work on, and I've never actually formally trained for it. So starting up hopefully this afternoon, I can go ahead and start that process. With it being now the third day of the new year, on the first, I chose to do nothing. It was my day to do nothing. I really needed to have a good reset. I found myself very overstressed and overworked. So it's something I definitely wanted to take some time off. And then yesterday was just really busy. I started as early as 6 a.m. and I didn't finish training until about 9 p.m. So I had my regular job and I went to the studio to go train a couple classes, meet a bunch of new people, which is super cool. And then went with a buddy of mine to the comedy club, Babs, right down the block. So if you're in the Forest Park area, Babs Comedy, give it a shot. The other thing that I want to be able to do this year is I want to be able to sustain a weight where the first digit one. So I've been 200 pounds plus for probably about 10 to 15 years now. There was a time earlier when I had cut down. So I'm going to say this is probably 2021, maybe 2022, that I got down to 195 pounds. So that was like the lightest I had ever been. But I had never felt worse in my body ever. I felt super weak. I was incredibly lethargic. I felt like garbage 9 out of 10 days. So it was just no longer sustainable to stay in that weight area. So I put some of the weight back on, and immediately felt better. Once I got back to like 205, I felt like heavenly. So now with my last set of training, going through some powerlifting and putting on I'm going to say a fair amount of muscle. I definitely feel that my body looks way different, and I think for this time around, I'm going to have to do various measurements to make sure that I'm staying true to that. I'm creating growth, but I'm going to move into more hypertrophy and bodybuilding work, and then add in the jump training. So I do want to be able to jump. That is the most important thing. And also, if I weigh less, I will have to carry less, which means I potentially can jump a little bit higher. So again, keeping with some of my training, working a little bit closer to failure without such high intensities. It's still going to be heavy. The idea is not to go ahead and change out the big heavy barbell for the little pink dumbbells and say, well, I'm going to do 1,000 more reps. That doesn't help. The body gets very adjusted to that one. So you kind of have to increase your intensity over time. It's like the story of Milo. And if you want that, I'll do that another day. So those are the two main things that I want to be able to accomplish in the first couple months of this year. Some other factors that I do have on the back burner that I do want to address as I get throughout the year is I do want to understand more about the communities that I involve myself with. So I do want to have a deeper sense of building more community. I think for We the Collective, we've done a fantastic job of that so far, but I don't find that portion as fulfilling. Right? I think I can do better. Is kind of what I'm getting at. It's not that I'm bad at it, or it's not like I feel I can do better for my community and be able to help people even more so. So again, if you're in the Forest Park area or surrounding areas, Oak Park, River Forest, hell, I'm from Franklin Park, so I still have to make a little trek into there. So if you got about a 10-minute drive, I'm here to help out. So that's one of the other things I really want to focus in on. And then I think lastly, of what's really, really important to me for this year is I've been learning a lot from Tom Holland. So he's the guy who plays Spider-Man, younger guy, right? So I'm 40. He's got to be maybe close to 30, maybe. But he was really suffering from what he thought was just horrendous, like alcoholism. On the podcast and whatnot, I've talked about it. I've probably had drinks on camera, but what I really want to do this year is take a similar approach to what he did. So he started with dry January and just did the best he could. Then he got into February and he actually felt worse, and he felt that he was kind of like backsliding or kind of falling off that the wagon again. And he's like, well, I'm going to try it again. And then he basically gave himself until his birthday, and his birthday is June 1st. So mine is June 29th. So I do want to start with a regular good old dry January. I want to see if I can learn from it. This should be another opportunity for me to keep my weight down. And again, keeping my weight down will mean I can jump a little bit higher. So all these pieces like strategically start to line up. So if I start drinking really heavily again, if I stop my jump training, basically my ultimate goal of being able to dunk doesn't happen. So these are where like the small steps across the board can make a huge, huge difference for like what you want to do and what you want to become. And I feel that I should share these parts of the journey with you, kind of how I'm feeling and how I'm going through it. There is some other accountability, because if I'm not posting and not talking about it, I'm probably not doing it. So this is another way for me to be accountable for my actions. This probably won't get put on Spotify. I'll probably just put this on the We the Collective page. But if there are other things that you're working on that you want to go ahead and share, or if you just want an accountability buddy, I'm here, right? I really want to dedicate myself to helping more people. And one of the first people I need to help is myself. So on that note, good luck.